Hello there, welcome to the Right Click Save podcast. I'm your host, as always, Calcio. Joining me today is Jimmy T. How are you doing, Jimbo?
Yeah, I'm really good. I've recovered from my East Denver flu. My voice is almost back to usual. I'll probably still have to edit out a few times where I die coughing, but I'm feeling good.
Good stuff. I'm glad to hear you're not dead. That's encouraging.
It was close. It was close. It was a close call.
Today we're actually joined by a guest that I have followed for a long time, to be fair, outside of the NFT space, along with some of his colleagues, True Geordie and Loz. They create a lot of football content, which is really, really enjoyable for me to watch. But equally, about last March, Elliot, our guest today, started getting into NFTs a lot more. And as someone who's really, really involved in the YouTube space, I thought it'd be a super interesting conversation to have about, first and foremost, his own personal experience, but also about how he sees the future of large influencers on YouTube and in that sort of sphere coming into NFTs. How are you doing today, Elliot?
I'm good, thanks. How are yourself, lads? I mean, I've not had the greatest day. PC's pretty much exploded with dog knocking a cup of tea into it. So that's why I've been messing about trying to sort audio for you guys before the pod. But apart from that, I'm brilliant. Apart from that.
I take it. I think it's really nice to get a variety of guests on, obviously. But I think the best start place, no matter who it's with, is how you actually got into NFTs.
Do you know what? I was trying to pinpoint that today because I thought that'd be a question that you'd ask. And I think it was around March or so. I started getting into crypto properly, and I think it would have been once I'd bedded into crypto a bit, probably around May or June. And the first NFT that got me into it was the Vogu Collective. I don't know if you guys have heard of those or not. They're these like robot PFP projects, like this futuristic robot with a bit of streetwear elements. Some have got suits on, some of them have got,
Nice.
traits where they've got, a holographic horse race in the hand or graphs, charts, all that kind of stuff. And I thought they were really cool. And I instantly got hooked because I brought in for, I think it was around 0.3, 0.4, and they jumped up to 1.1 ETH
Nice.
straight away.
That's always
So
good.
yeah, I was in. Yeah, of course, it always helps if you start off with a win.
Yeah.
But I brought in more, and sort of steadily got into the space more and more and more. And so I owe it to the Vogu Collective and Traxy, who's the guy behind it, for getting me hooked.
Did you have, like, often I find, for me personally, as I had a friend who was always going on about NFTs. I was the friend in my sort of circle of friends that was going on about crypto in 2017, trying to tell everyone to get into it. Did you have that? Is that what kind of led you into the kind of crypto space? Someone sort of niggling you about it on and off for a few months?
No, I am that friend to my
Nice.
friends. I am the one trying to get them into it. I've finally now got a friend, a friend within the space who's got into NFTs.
That's good.
He's finally cracked. He's had a few wins, which obviously, again, I
Nice.
think once you get a win, you're in. Like that always helps. And yeah, I've got a friend who's in it now. A few have tried, but not really got hooked. And I've got a little separate WhatsApp group with some of my mates, away from the ones who just don't understand or want to be a part of it at all, where we discuss all things crypto and NFTs. So yeah, it's I finally managed to get one of my mates on side.
That was literally going to be my next question was, have you got the WhatsApp group set up? Because that is, when you've been sucked fully into the rabbit hole, when that NFT or crypto WhatsApp group gets set up, that's when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, we've won up to it's a Discord group, which is the next
blimey.
level.
Nice.
Yeah, WhatsApp group is the first step, but a Discord group's even further into the rabbit hole.
Does this mean we've got
one of those?
Paid alpha group NFT drop coming up from you?
Yeah, that'll be the next step.
How have you found it, though? Because obviously you've been involved in social media for years and years. Like, your entire career is based on creating social media presence and going from there. Obviously, NFT Twitter is a thing. Are you quite involved in it, or?
I'm very much involved, as in that is all my feed is now. Literally just crypto Twitter, NFT Twitter, and has been for quite a while. I've actually been toying with it for so long now about creating a separate crypto account, because I've created my personal Twitter account has been very much off the back of football for years and years and years. I can tweet about the Barclays and I get 30, 40 likes. I tweet about crypto and NFTs and I'm lucky to get a like. Like I'm deliberating now whether I have to take on a different persona or create a different account, because I've got such a when I reference or think about this, when I tweet about NFTs or whatever it may be, and it gets a bit of a backlash now, it sort of reminds me how early we are. Like people still don't get like I'm still nowhere near get grasping it really in a lot of ways. So it is nice to have that reminder, but at the same time, I'd really like to have a bit more interaction and conversation with people around it. But I follow tons of people. I'm often more of a watcher than than an active conversation taker. Then that's the same for a lot of the Discord groups as well. I'm more of a person who will jump in and out now and then, but I'm not in there 24/7. I'm not constantly having conversations. I'm just too busy. But I'm finding that balance is the one I guess I'm struggling with at the moment, which is I'm very much a sport person and tweet about football literally nearly every day. But as soon as it's NFT, it goes NFT the way of NFTs, then it's a bit more of a struggle. So yeah, that's a battle I'm finding at the minute.
Yeah, it's very Marmite, isn't it? You know, some people love it, some people hate it, and I think we're still waiting for that mass kind of onboarding event that's going to happen at some point for people to kind of get over their kind of hang-ups on it. And there's always a lot of negative press, so people love to jump on the negative stuff, especially on Twitter. That seems to be where people vibe with just jumping in and having a go at people. So
yeah, I mean, even when I announced I was on here today, there was one guy who tried one meme that didn't work. He deleted his post and tried another meme, and I said, mate, it just not working. What the fuck are you what are you trying to do here? And I think he may have deleted that post as well in the end. But yeah, it's a fine balance at the minute. There's still a lot of people who don't know, have any idea what it is, and are quick to shit on NFTs. But there's those who are slowly coming around. Like I say, I've gradually got one of my mates on board. I'm sure that'll lead to another of my mates eventually. And I think that's the way that we're all still so early. We are actually people say it as a bit, and it's become a bit of a meme, but we are actually very early in this kind of thing.
Yeah, I find that as like football's my bread and butter. I played 6 times when I was younger. I go every week to Newcastle. It's like a massive part of my life. I find that those sorts of people, on the face of it, are very, very resistant, especially Newcastle. You've got a lot of working class guys. They're super resistant to the idea of crypto and NFTs. And I found that is where having that separate account, which is just dedicated to the space, super helpful, because first of all, you feel less, not conscious of it, right? But like easier to immerse yourself and not worry about, especially for you when you've got a really clear brand around football and a really clear narrative that you've created the kickoff, you're managing director of a sports-based influencer and everything like that. That is like your thing. It will probably be really beneficial, I guess, for you to actually be able to separate the two. How have you found it though within the industry specifically of YouTube and sports and everything like that? Have you found those conversations coming up a lot? Have you found it an easy topic to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of these conversations going on. Managing such a large YouTuber as True Geordie, which I do at the minute, as well as a number of other people that I still help out with things. There's conversations becoming more and more prevalent. There's a lot more offers. There's a lot more things around there, and it's very much like NFT projects themselves. It's trying to cipher through what is good, what is not, what's an actual genuine project, what's got decent people behind it. Oh, this is going to be here in a year's time, 2 years time, 3 years time, and that is the difficult part. There's definitely conversations to be had, and there's genuine projects. UFC Strike came around, and I was speaking with the UFC guys at one point about potentially doing some stuff with them. But obviously, it's a reputable brand. They're not in it for a quick win, and they're going to be sticking around, such as Top Shot did. So there's some aspects where you can genuinely see it working, and it's suiting an influencer, or it's suiting a project, or suiting a person. But there's those where you're like, I literally can't get involved with this person. I don't know enough. The team may be undoxed, and there's no way to know what you're really getting into. And when you're managing someone's personal brand, say True Geordie, for example, that's priding themselves on working with blue chip brands, your Beats, your Twitch, Gymshark, Poker Stars, you can't take that risk. And when it's too much of a risk, you just can't get involved.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance there. I think there's a huge synergy between kind of YouTubers and NFTs, just because NFTs have been so good at supporting content creators. And I think there's definitely been almost like a pathfinding stage for online digital content, where people are trying to find the right way to be able to kind of monetize it and build communities. And that's why we've got things like Patreon. That's why we've got like all the money that people spend on sort of skins for Twitch streamers and all those kind of things. And I think that there's definitely room. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I think NFTs have become that kind of community building service and ways to support content creators.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned Patreon there. For me, with the way the NFT space is going, Patreon probably won't exist in 5-10 years. NFTs will have taken over. People will be able to buy an NFT that will give them access to the creator's favorite content, experiences, all these other perks, and things like Patreon just won't exist anymore. Why would you just pay £3 to a creator through a platform where you can just own this NFT? And you've got to think about when things like the metaverse come around and you can physically show in, say, your gallery or wherever, the podcasts that you were a part of or the communities that you're a part of. Like, for me, you mentioned Patreon there and these paid systems that people use for content, which are a valid method right now. But moving forward, I can't see them lasting too long.
Absolutely.
We have seen a lot, though, already, big brands. Kings of Leon's the one that pisses me off the most because that was like a hideous cash grab. They just came in, released something really half-assed. And again, I don't want to go through YouTubers because I appreciate you're not going to want to talk specifics, but, we have privately discussed there are some big names that have identified that they could easily sell a shitload of NFTs, make a quick $3, $4, $10 million. How do you think it's going to go long-term?
Feel free to name them. I don't mind.
Well, I mean, obviously, the biggest one I think to reference would be Logan Paul, right? His eggs and his little dragon game. They had a burn mechanism and everything like that. It's disappeared.
It was disgraceful. It was honestly, literally disgraceful. It was images that he brought off the internet and literally doctored to claim that they were their own and artists drawn, which they definitely weren't. And it was literally a cash grab. Like there's no way to dance around it. That's what it was.
And I think what's hard about it, though, for me at least, is that that's mental that no one's really given a shit about it. And, for me, the biggest issue is that the space really requires, certainly in its infancy, as much genuine activity as possible. Yeah. And so it's all well and good if you sit there and make the decision not to take X, Y, and Z, and True Geordie agrees and so on. But if one of the most innovative, and I say innovative, he's really well known, largest creators on the platform is taking and doing that, it does cause a lot of issue, I think, long term. And I just wonder how you see people in the YouTube space, watchers of content, how you see them looking at NFTs right now, and whether or not you think things like that are going to affect their ability to engage with them.
It's a tricky one. There's a few use cases where I'm seeing people do it well and doing it the right way. An example I'd say probably about one of the best I've seen so far on a smaller scale is Nightscape. He's a YouTuber who's known for climbing buildings and doing risky stunts. He climbed on, I think he got inside the West Ham ground. I think that's the one that catapulted him to fame.
He was right on the top,
Yeah, he was on the top and running on the pitch at night. He's then done, insane like building climbs and things like that. And of course, off the back of that, has great photography from, looking down on those buildings, gets insane shots, uses a drone, all that kind of thing. And he's started launching his collections and selling them. And it's a great way for the community who've been with him for a long time to own a piece of that content. And, someone who's done that on a bigger level is, I'm sure, Drifter Shoots, the guy who's done it on a much larger scale to success in the US. I think he put a post up the other week that this time last year he was fighting off a court case to potentially go to prison, and now he's selling collections for hundreds of thousands of pounds. And that is, a great example of it being done right. Then you've got all the terrible examples, the Logan Pauls, Lana Rhodes of the world, where it is literally a cash grab. And I think Kobe did a tweet not so long ago where it's literally a race now for some of these influencers to get it out whilst there's still an opportunity to make all this money. But the way that I see it affecting YouTube and viewers and people's audiences, the initial, everyone will think to these initial collections first off, and it will be the Logan Pauls, and people will see what's gone on and be scarred by it. CoffeeZilla, who does all these great breakdowns and exposés of, the Logan Pauls of the world, the Lana Rhodes, and literally goes through the steps of everything that's being done, tries to have conversations with them to explain themselves, which they obviously can't. And unfortunately, in these early stages, I do think we are going to go through that stage of all these cash grabs. People are going to get burned, and that's going to be a bad entry from a lot of people. Hopefully they can find the few good ones that are about at the minute, because there are examples that are of good ones, and I'm sure there'll be more to come as the space grows.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're obviously repping a cool cat at the minute, jump into a project that's pretty damn well established. Obviously, it's had its hiccups as well, right? So, kind of got to get that over there. But how did you come to Cool Cats? Why was it that you've settled on as the profile picture?
So I actually, the profile picture I have now, the cool cut with the lab coat, tash and glasses, I actually sold that at one point, and then I was like, do you know what? I need it back, and I actually
Yeah, nice.
ended up buying it back for a slight loss, but I didn't mind because I wanted to have it back so much. Listen, the Cool Cats is a project I followed for a long time. I think that was the one I always like. Literally, when I was starting out with very little ETH, it was the one I wanted to try and build up to and buy.
Nice.
So when the opportunity came around to do so, that was the one that stood out to me. It was in my price range. I think it looks daft, which is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually look too much like a cat. It looks like a guy with a mustache and glasses and lab coat on. Um,
Yeah.
and of course, knowing everything that was coming with Cool Cats as well, from the game, Cool Pets, that they're working hard on to establish at the minute. Obviously, as you mentioned there, they've had their hiccups. It didn't help that the Polygon network suffered the issues
Yeah.
it did, which has slowed them down dramatically. But I'm sure it'll get there at some point. I've got big faith in the team. Klon and the rest of the guys, like I do believe that they'll establish something great. I do think it could be on the level of similar to a Pokemon style game. They've got battles that'll be coming at some point.
Yeah.
You're going to be earning on it. You're going to be earning milk token. You can spend it on your cool pets to potentially evolve them. That sort of stuff is what got me hooked to Pokemon when I was 12 years old. So I'm sure it'll get me hooked now as a 31-year-old adult. I really shouldn't be hooked to things like this, but I am. So yeah, Cool Cats was the one that that really gravitated to me with everything that they've got coming. And I've dabbled in a lot of different projects as well. I had a mutant ape at one point. I sold that for some profit because I didn't want all that liquidity locked up in one place, and I just thought it was limiting me on being able to get into other stuff. But Cool Cats is the one that I'll rep and keep. I've had good trades, I've had bad trades. I'm sure everyone has. I sold a Doodle at 1.5. I sold a World of Women at 2. Like I've had my fair share of bad trades here as well. But Cool Cat is the one that I'm sticking with as the PFP for now, and there'll be others as well. There's a lot of good projects I've got my eyes on that I've brought into it recently as well. Like I say, got eased up some of that liquidity from the mutant to be able to buy into other stuff. And there's a lot coming out right now. We're in the middle of this lull and quiet period, and there's so many projects that are coming out that you think this should really be at a higher floor, but people are just flipping like mad and driving it down. So like as everyone knows, it's a great time to be buying at the minute.
Oh yeah, definitely a buyer's market. Do you kind of embed yourself within the community as well? Like Cool Cats, have you joined the community and the Discord and really got involved there?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm in the Discord and I speak now and then. Like I'm not someone who's constantly messaging, but I'll fire a message in every now and then. I was very active whilst Pets was launching, very excited, Milk and all of that. And it's funny to see. Like I guess I should expect it now, but it's funny to see. I'll type something in there and someone go, "Oh, the kickoff!" Like I'm like,
nice,
yeah, and that's. You sort of forget because I've sort of siphoned off NFTs is this whole other world. I forget that people will actually link things back. But it's great to see when you do comment and the responses that you get. But I wouldn't say deeply embedded, but yeah, definitely a part of the community.
Nice. Okay, cool.
I've always found as well, like when you actually start speaking to people and you get to build those relationships, often you find a lot more similar people than you thought. Like there's a guy in Australia who represents loads of A-League players. There's a guy in America who does the exact same thing with MLS players. Just as part of communities I'm in. And I kind of originally viewed crypto as this thing which was, again, super honestly, not for people who like football. I thought it was a completely separate industry in a completely different world. The more I've jumped in and really just thrown myself into it, mate, there are so many people who just love the same stuff as me. Obviously, completely different people too. But then you start to realize that that's because NFTs and crypto are not another financial asset in the same way that stocks are. They are, and especially with NFTs, super emotive. You get so involved in it, like your story about your Cool Cat. You've gone out of your way to buy it back regardless of the price because it's one you love. Mm-hmm. So it's not necessarily about being interested in all the financial side of it. It's about loving the community you're in and building a genuine set of relationships, right? And I'm just curious to see how you found it with your closest friends, so the guys that you spend the most time with. I know you mentioned you've onboarded a couple of them. Have you found it quite stressful though when you've had conversations about prices and things like that for fear of bad advice? Or
no, I haven't found too much of that. I guess the joy that I have with the new friends that I've onboarded is the only thing they're really doing is minting. So they're really they're only minting, and they're finding instant success or instant profit at least. So they're happy. One of my friends has now had a few wins, and he's built up some ETH. I think he sold the top of Wonderpals last week
Nice.
when it was at 1.3, and made a good sale there, and built some ETH to his balance. And now he's in the stage of, okay, what shall I go and buy now? I've got something to play with, so to say. And I guess when I advise him the wrong pick on that, that's when it'll get trouble.
Yeah.
That's when you start avoiding people. I've had that in the past. It's like, oh yeah, you've definitely got to buy this, definitely got to buy this, and then it's like,
Who did that to me?
oh,
Yeah,
it's all right. I've supported you with enough good ones too.
It happens. I mean, I just find it really interesting, as I said, because I've obviously watched True Geordie and Lawrence for years. Since I think True Geordie had like 15,000 subs. So it's super interesting to speak to you because obviously you've spent a lot of time with him and with Loz and things like that. And you mentioned earlier, this is one of my favourite stories that we've talked over, that Lawrence's first mint was actually Blocks by Harvey. And I think that's a project that I'm a massive fan of. Have you got a few as well?
Yes, well, I had two. I sold one, but I've kept my. So I got a punk. I got a Blocks punk. So I'll be keeping onto that for a while. And it was great to see this past weekend them flying up to point 0.6 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Some great value there for everyone in the Blocks community. I actually helped Harvey get the whitelist spots for the Kaiju Kongs to give to his community. Yeah, so helped him out with that as well, and I'm sure they've got whiskers and some other really good stuff coming up. Yeah, for the community. So Harvey got in touch with Harvey, similar to yourselves, got in touch with me. He's been a big fan of the show for a long time. He said, "Listen, if you and Brian and Lawrence or anyone want to have a whitelist spot, then I'd be happy to give it." As a huge fan of a fan of the show over the years. Brian still takes some convincing. Like it's really difficult to get Brian on side for getting involved with anything like this. He's obviously a very busy man as well, so he doesn't have too much time to. Because it does take a lot of time. Like if you're trying to embed yourself and understand all of this and get in Discords and all that kind of stuff, then it is quite time consuming. Whereas Loz, really wanted to get involved, and I think he's been eyeing up something like this for a while. He's got his NFT, he's happy with it, he's holding on to it, and I think that was Blocks was his first entry into the space.
Nice. I always enjoyed talking to Robbie Knox about his first one, which was his little rat, his V from V Friends, and he started showing people down the pub his little rat and sort of telling them about NFTs and using that to sort of onboard people. So yeah, so it's good to see what people's kind of Genesis projects are.
Yeah, no, I love Robbie. Robbie's been knocking about for a while in this. He's a great guy. He's been in the football scene on Soccer of course, for years and years and years. But great to see him transition into YouTube, and his channel's absolutely flying. If I ever just want to calm down and just get a bit more somber for the night and just get a bit. I just watch Robbie Knox go on a walk with someone, and that's my evening entertainment. So yeah, I love Robbie.
Yeah, we're big fans.
I'm just super excited about the UK scene, to be honest, as well, because and we've got I compare the NFTs to YouTube only because I think YouTube was one of the first opportunities for anyone. Obviously, you've got to have talent, etc., etc. But it was the opportunity for anyone to truly create and make a shitload of money, right? But again, not that's all about money, but they could do that, and I feel like NFTs are a second wave almost of that, where if you're in the community now and you're learning and you're building and developing and things like that, you get that second renaissance, perhaps. And I think one of the really interesting things to see will be how the UK scene develops, which is why I thought it was so nice that you had supported Harvey, and just generally it's really encouraging to see a lot more of the UK guys picking it up. Do you see the likes of, again, obviously you don't know exactly, but KSIs and the Sidemen and the bigger UK YouTubers picking up NFTs long term as well?
Yeah, definitely. Funnily enough, you mentioned that. I was with KSI on I think it was Thursday last week, and some of the Sidemen, a few of the other guys, were just at a private poker game that we were playing. But they're all, I think KSI's ventures into crypto have been well documented with the 6 million losses. But yeah, they're very much all into NFTs and into everything going on in this space. I guess they're in a similar boat where tweeting about it just gets them a barrage of backlash. which again is, I guess, a barrier in a way for them. KSI's got his own crypto account, and he often does put stuff on there when he is talking about it. He's quieting down a little, but I think that's due to how busy he is at the minute. But the rest of the guys, Ethan, for example, the Bazinga of the Sidemen, I got him into Thingdoms,
Nice.
and
UK
another
project.
UK project. Yeah, Luke Crawford heads up Thingdoms. I've worked with Luke a lot on previous projects before, not NFT projects, just another work. I used to work with him at an agency. So back to Luke and Thingdoms. I love what they're doing. They had a great launch video the other week for Thing Drop 2. And Ethan, got into Thingdoms, posted about it, got a barrage of shit, and never posted about it again. I think it's quite difficult for these people, especially when they've got such large and also young audiences. Some of these guys, it makes it a difficult space for them to post about, because I guess the barrier to entry for some people, or at least as perceived as, is you've got to spend thousands of pounds to you buy an image of whatever it may be. Whereas that's not the case a lot of the time. And if you're minting, you can get in a lot cheaper. It doesn't always cost thousands and thousands of pounds. You can get an inch actually for quite cheap. But that explanation process and people understanding that being educated around that is just something that's going to come with time. And I guess for now, a lot of these guys have got big brands to protect. They've got their own image to protect, and they've just got to play it a certain way for a while.
It's got to be that. It's like cost benefit, isn't it? It's like at the moment, especially with the kind of backlash that people are getting, it's kind of hard to see the actual value in doing it. And I think that's why so many people set up those separate accounts.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just super excited really to see where it goes though, in terms of how we do see that adoption. Because obviously KSI has been, as you said, well documented to be involved in crypto. Even with NFTs, he made a bold move in about September to say he was going to basically bin off ETH NFTs and kind of move solely to using Sol, which was a good play at the time because he did really, really well off of it. But even now, anything he tweets, like you said, will get 100, 200, 500 replies just taking the piss. And so I do think that it's a really tough balance. And that's why, again, going back to Logan Paul, I can't believe he doesn't get more shit for it, because he actually didn't just say, I like this or I like that. He went out and actually made a project that Robbie Knox, we chatted to him about it because he bought it. And
ever the diplomat, Robbie, about it as well.
He got Jackmate to buy him as well, and he was like, well, it was a risk, but it didn't pay off. So, but honestly, it is really worrying, I guess, from our point of view, at least, where we're genuinely really embedded in the space, and you want to make sure that it is as honest and clean as possible. And as you said, you can easily spin up a real quick cash grab. So I guess that we've got to make sure we avoid that. One of the things we normally kind of do towards the end of the show is we kind of end on some quick fire questions, just kind of breaking down your NFT cycle and how you've done. So I'm going to hand over to Jimbo and he'll run you through.
Yeah, okay. So we've got 5 quick fire questions for you. You've got to answer kind of as quick as you can, if you will. So the first one will be your worst ever NFT trade.
Selling a doodle at 1.5.
Yeah, it's still paying you.
Yeah, just a bit. And the worst bit is I follow the guy who brought it. I think, and he's got it as his profile picture. I think it's Mike. I think his name's Micah something, and I think he works for a fairly large brand. It may have been Snapchat, maybe someone else, but he's just rocking it. I see him on the feed. I'm like, yeah, constant reminder. Thanks very much.
But I'm guessing you still made profit on that trade, though.
Yeah, it still made profit, just not as much as I'd be making now. It's also a slightly rare one. It's got a halo, it's got a fire background, so it sort of looks like an angel in hell. As I'm sure it's worth way more than floor. So yeah, terrible trade.
Although I'm sure you put the liquidity to good use though, and didn't invest it into about 5 or 6 rug projects.
Yeah, probably not.
All right, we'll flip it a bit more positive. How about your best ever trade?
My best ever trade. Do you know what? My Mutant wasn't a bad trade. I think I brought it around 9 or 10 and sold it for 18.
Nice.
So that wasn't a bad trade at all. That's probably the one that sticks out at the minute. I should have brought it in much sooner. I'm sure you both probably follow OX Function on Twitter. I remember he was shouting about mutants even earlier than I got in, which was around 5 or 6, saying they were massively undervalued. And of course, in the last mini bull market that we had, they ran all the way up to 27. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it was big.
yeah, it's a big run. But yeah, that's probably my best off the top of my head.
How do you find it when after you've dealing with the psychology of it after you've sort of sold yours at 18, then you saw it kind of carry on run up to kind of as you say 27, 28. Do you find that difficult to deal with?
No, not. I mean, I've got a heavy betting background. I used to work at
Good point.
365, starting my career,
Yeah.
Ladbrokes Coral, Racing Post after that. I very much view it as just winning and losing a
Yeah.
bet, which I don't think about for too long at all,
Yeah.
um, which helps, massively helps.
Yeah, absolutely. It is one of the trickiest things for a lot of people to deal with. I've definitely got a lot better at it now and just been like, I sell things all the time that then run up to 5 ETH the next day. And I'm like, you win some, you lose some, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I've had big betting wins. I've had big betting wins that have just missed out. And I think Rory Jennings, who we do the kickoff with, like I won a poker game the other day. He's like, and when you see him win on our poker show, be close to him, you can see him physically shaking, stress, like sweating. And I won a game the other day, and he was like, "Were you not going mad?" I was like, "Nah, pretty immune to it now." So yeah, I think for better or worse, being in the betting industry for about 7 or 8 years has made
Yeah.
me slightly numb to it all.
That's good. It is a good way to look at it as well. It is all gambling at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So in terms of minting, have you minted a lot? What's your rarest reveal that you've ever minted?
Oh, do you know what? I don't have too much luck with minting. I don't ever seem to get anything that's that rare. My mate George, who I've managed to recently get in, he's winning all the whitelist spots in the Discords. He's minting things that are like the 200th rarest in the collection.
Nice.
He's doing really well. I guess my rarest mint recently was Rubber Duck Bath Party. I got something in the
Oh,
top
you got on that.
700.
Nice.
Yeah, top 700. That's it. Like that's pathetic. Like I should be doing way better for the amount
Everyone,
of stuff.
everyone we ask always says, "Oh, well, I'm an awful minter."
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't think
really
we've had
bad.
I don't think we've had anyone who's come on and said, "Oh, yeah, I'm a quality minter. I've got top, like always getting these top ten
yeah.
mints." And
How the hell? Like I've never minted anything that's close to top 500. Like never, ever.
well, I know normally always middle of the pack, always like literally. And then I got
You
the
have one of
one,
one.
I got one card in the properties collection, which is like the rarest card in the collection.
Sorry, I actually, if you count, I actually tell a lie. I tell a lie because I don't class it as an NFT. It is, but it's not. Like I don't class it as a mint on OpenSea. But UFC Strike, I opened a pack and I got 4 out of 20,000. I got Cyril Gain takedown, and it's the fourth serial number 4 out of 20,000.
Nice.
Um, Serial number one is on the market for around 12 and a half grand. It's sat there and not sold, but if
Yeah,
UFC
yeah,
Strike takes off,
decent.
then yeah, I guess I've got a rare one.
Nice. It's easy to forget about the rare ones and remember all the ones that have been like disappointing in the
Yeah,
many mints that you've done.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, so next question: if you could send one project to 100 ETH, what would that project be?
I would send. That's it. Oh God, Rubber Duck Bath Party because I've got about 7 or 8 of
So pump your
them.
bags.
Yeah, but I guess that's it. It's a very selfish reason though, just because that's the one I own the most of. If I could
Yeah,
send any
nice.
project that I really like to 100 ETH, I think it would be Thingdoms.
I was gonna say yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love Thingdoms. I love the art. Luke's a great guy who's managing it all. Up late on WhatsApp with him many a night, speaking about all different kinds of projects, even pretend like him advising me if I were to eventually launch one of my own or go that sort
Yeah.
of route.
Nice.
But I'd love to see Thingdoms go on a run like that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, we've got to get Luke on at some point. Have to make that happen at some point soon.
Yeah, definitely, it'll be a great guest.
And opposite question, this is our controversial one. So if you had to delete one project, nobody loses any money, but you have to delete one project from existence.
Hmm. That is an interesting one. If I can delete one project,
Yeah,
I think I would delete. Um, oh, I've got to think of the reason that I'm doing this. Like, why am I going to delete someone's project? I would delete the Killers.
oh
Um,
yeah.
I brought a ton of them, thinking they were going to be massive. token that you'd earn on, which I still don't think has launched. A game that's still not even happened or close to happening. They
Yeah.
launched the female versions of the killers females. I got another load of them, and they're all sat there decreasing in value by the day. So
Just
they may as
deleting
well,
your ETH.
yeah, they may as well not be in my wallet. So I'd just delete them.
Fair. I thought you might go for Logan Paul's eggs, to be honest.
Thankfully, I didn't mint any, or I didn't get any, so it didn't affect me in any way. I'm sure
Fair.
Robbie, that might be Robbie's answer, but thankfully, I knew to steer clear of that
Just
from the off.
swerve those ones, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The Killers
Nice.
is a it's another one of those projects that did a shit like did like 4 ether volume really quick. It ripped because obviously just to show how easy it is to inflate numbers. I think the floor ran up to like 0.2, 0.3 sort of size, and then now I've literally just checked, it's at 0.041. So it just shows how easy it is to glamorize a project, blow the fuck out of it, and then end up kind of leaving it in the waste. But
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
yeah, and even going back to the one that I'd like to blow up to 100 as well, like one that I always forget that I've got, but I really enjoy everything they've created so far. The interesting ways that they've done like on-chain breeding mechanics and that kind of thing is 2-bit bears. I don't know if you've heard of these, but they basically they started off really literally 2D images of 2 blocks.
Yeah.
And they were either like brown, one shade of brown and a slightly different shade of brown for like a brown bear, and a black bear was a slightly different shade of black on the top and the bottom. But then you could breed them, and as you breed them, they become more and more actually towards a bear. So the next version,
Right.
when you bred them, went 3D. And if you breed 2 of the 3D ones, you've now got a bear's face in like this 3D model, and then there's going to be a
Nice.
4th gen, which is going to be like hyper realistic. But they made a really funny start into the scene. They did like a Apple-like talk where they were taking the piss, saying, "Look at these hyper-realistic bears. That was just a 2D image." But then they pretended to zoom in, and you'd see loads of fur. And
Yeah.
they gave you, for every pair of bears that you had, they drop you honey. And you
Nice.
use this to breed. Honey shot up in value recently, and yeah, it was a really I really enjoyed what those guys have done, and I don't think they've seen enough love for the sort of innovation that they've used.
Yeah.
So that'd be another answer for the 100 ETH project.
Well, I'm definitely going to have to check these ones out. It sounds funny.
Yeah,
The evolution of bears.
Yeah, they're really fun, and some of the stuff they've done is hilarious. Like some of the promo videos, like really funny.
Oh, nice. I'll check them out. I like a project that's got a bit of character. It's just something that's a little bit different, and also not taking itself too seriously. So I
Yeah,
like that.
they're definitely that. They're definitely that.
Awesome.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Elliot, and of course, Jimmy, your company's been okay as well. Yeah, as I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. I've been your host, Calcio, and we'll see you again soon.